Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're locked onto some, well, pretty intriguing info about the Division 2. It's unconfirmed, mind you.
Right. We all remember the game, launched back in 2019, and then that big Warlords of New York expansion in 2020.
Exactly. And
Okay.
now there are these whispers, these leaks about something new, and that's what we're going to dig into today.
Yeah, our mission basically is to sift through this leaked stuff about a potential new DLC. We want to figure out, what are the key bits? What might it actually mean for people still playing Division 2?
Trying to get some clarity, yeah, without just drowning in speculation.
Precisely. We want to keep it focused.
Okay, but first things first, and this is important, it is a leak. So, grain of salt required.
Definitely. Though the source is Tom Henderson, and if you follow gaming news, especially Ubisoft stuff, you've probably heard that name.
Yeah, he's pretty well regarded, isn't he? Known for being, well, often right about this stuff.
He really is. I mean, think about it. He had info on the struggles with X-Defiant way early on. He talked about Ubisoft's financial situation, stuff that turned out to be spot on.
And didn't he also leak the Division Heartland cancellation before it was official?
He did, yeah. That was another one. So, that history, it gives this current leak a bit more credibility, I'd say.
A fair bit more. Now, obviously, no insider gets everything right 100% of the time.
Of course not, but it definitely makes you pay attention.
So what are we actually looking at here? What's the main leak say?
Okay, so the report, it's from Insider Gaming, claims the next DLC is called Battle for Brooklyn.
Battle for Brooklyn.
And it's just a release maybe late May, and a price tag of $15.
$15. Okay,
Okay.
that's interesting. But here's the part that really caught my eye.
What's that?
The leak apparently suggests this might be the smallest DLC the franchise has ever had.
Yeah, see, that's the hook, isn't it? Smallest ever. Especially when you think about something like Warlords of New York. That wasn't small at all.
Not at all. That was a whole new open world area, loads of endgame changes. So smallest ever compared to that. It definitely makes you think.
And someone, I think it was Tuxedo Bandito online, made a good point. If you look at all the DLC across Division 1 and 2, there haven't been that many huge ones. So smallest could mean, well, quite small.
You really could. Which, leads us to the timing. Ubisoft has an official announcement planned, right?
Yep, April 23rd. It's really just around the corner.
So this deep dive, it's kind of like an early peek. Based on this leak, which, again, seems credible but isn't official yet.
Exactly, an early look before the curtain's properly pulled back.
So let's think about the player perspective. What is Battle for Brooklyn? $15, potentially smaller scale. What could that actually mean in game?
Well, one possibility is that it's very narrative-focused, like tightly scripted. The devs have hinted before about a story DLC, haven't they?
They have, yeah. That phrase has been thrown around.
So maybe this is it, a shorter, more concentrated story experience set in Brooklyn.
Okay, but what about gameplay? Does smaller mean less action, or maybe just different action?
That's the question. The leak mentioned a trailer, apparently, that shows the cleaners are back.
Ah, the cleaners.
Yeah.
From the first game, and they popped up a bit in D2, guys with the flamethrowers.
Right. Their whole thing is fire and chaos.
Right.
So bringing them back into a Brooklyn setting, that could definitely shape the kind of missions and gameplay we see. Probably lots of close quarter stuff, environmental hazards, fire everywhere.
Yeah, that could be intense.
Yeah.
And that $15 price, maybe that reflects the scale. Like you said,
Right.
some people were worried it might be more expensive, inflation and all that.
True. So $15 might actually feel pretty reasonable if it's a solid, albeit shorter experience.
So why this approach? Why potentially smaller, cheaper? Any thoughts on the bigger picture?
Well, you got to remember, the Division 2 isn't exactly new anymore. It's heading into, year 7?
Year 7, yeah. That's a long time for a live service game.
It is. So maybe this smaller DLC at this price point is Ubisoft kind of testing the waters, seeing how much appetite there still is for new Division 2 content before they commit to something bigger.
Especially with the Division 3 now officially announced, even if it's way off.
Exactly. Plus, remember, this DLC got delayed, right? It was supposed to be 2024, then pushed to 2025, now maybe late May.
Right, those delays.
Those shifts, combined with maybe a smaller scope.
Hmm.
It could reflect Ubisoft's broader situation, financial pressures, shifting resources, game development, especially DLC, costs money.
So maybe they're being more strategic with how they spend on D2 right now?
Could be. The leaked info sort of hinted at that context, too. They might be focusing resources elsewhere, like Division 3, while still trying to give D2 players something.
And let's be honest, the game hasn't had major new content for a while, has it? What was the last big thing? Paradise Lost.
Yeah, the Paradise Lost incursion, that was like over a year ago now. That was the last really big piece of new co-op endgame stuff.
So yeah, even if Battle for Brooklyn is smaller, a lot of players are probably just eager for any new content at this point.
I think you're right. It'll likely be welcomed, regardless of the final size.
And looking even further out,
Yeah.
we mentioned Division 3. Henderson speculated, what, 2028 or 2029 for that? A long way off.
Yeah, still years away, likely. Which maybe makes the case for more consistent, even if smaller, updates for Division 2 in the meantime. Maybe Battle for Brooklyn is the start of that? A new rhythm of content?
Could be. A bridge to Division 3, perhaps?
Possibly. So just to quickly recap the leak's key points for everyone listening.
Go for it.
We've got Battle for Brooklyn as the potential title, a possible late May release, a $15 price tag, and the big one, suggestions it might be a smaller scale DLC, maybe the smallest yet.
Right. And for you, listening in, the questions become, what does that look like for your game? Is this that focused story DLC we heard about? Does the return of the cleaners mean more intense, fiery missions in Brooklyn?
And you also have to wonder about the why. Is this Ubisoft being smart about managing an older game while building the next one? Is it about testing player interest, managing costs? Maybe a bit of everything.
And we won't have to guess for too much longer. That official Ubisoft announcement is set for April 23rd.
Yep, they're doing a dev live stream too. YouTube, Twitch, the usual places. The source mentioned potential Twitch drops too, so keep an eye out for that.
So official answers are coming soon.
Definitely. But until then, this leak gives us a lot to chew on.
It does. And maybe it leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to consider.
Yeah.
Given this possibility of a smaller, maybe more focused DLC, if you're going to spend that $15, what do you hope to see in Battle for Brooklyn? What kind of story or what specific gameplay would make that feel like a really worthwhile addition for you?
That's a great question. What makes a smaller DLC pack a punch? What would you want from it? Something to think about before the reveal.